Hello everybody, welcome to the 14th episode of the World of Brickfilms podcast. I'm your host, William of AW Studios. Joining me today is my good friend and co-host, Sean Willis of Penta.
It's good to be back once again.
Yeah, it's been a long time. And joining us today is Paul Hollingsworth of Digital Wizards.
What up, guys?
How you doing, alright?
Yeah, doing great, man. Even though California is burning, I'm safe here.
That's good to hear. It would be a shame if all that Lego melted.
Oh, yeah. Actually, last year, there was a fire that was close. It was the Latuna Canyon fire, and we could see it coming up over the hill. And it was out of control for about, 6 days, I think, before firefighters were able to put it out. But I had to have an evac plan for moving, 400 pounds of Lego, computers and hard drives and everything.
Wow, yeah. I never considered that before, because usually I would view California as the place to be if you want to be brickfilming professionally, but I never considered the fact that fires might start creeping up on you.
Yeah, man. Malibu's burning right now.
Yeah.
A lot of people lost their homes.
That's a shame.
Yeah, I think Kendall Jenner lost her house.
It's scary to see the pictures, the videos coming out. But it's good to hear that you're safe, and everyone you know as well.
Oh, yeah. One of our builders had to evacuate his house, but I think he's going to be okay.
Okay.
It was a pretty negative note to start on. I don't know if we want to.
Yeah. I was just thinking. Let's get into some more positive discussion.
Yeah. So anyway, so so you're most famous for your work as Digital Wizards, but you've been brickfilming since way back in the early 2000s. Is that right?
Yeah, I started brickfilming in, I think it was 1999, 2000. I'd finished graduating from film school in Thunder Bay in Canada, and when I was there, I did a stop motion animation with clay. I had also done some stuff with mixed media and some paper and magazine cutouts. But I always had a huge collection of Lego. So I was working as an editor, and I decided I would do a 15-minute stop-motion Braveheart-style movie of 80 guys attacking a castle and 100 guys are defending the castle. So I shot that over, I think, 2.5 months. And this was before Dragon Frame, but I had found a way to kind of mimic Dragon Frame in a way because I had an XL1 camera that was able to connect with FireWire to my G3 Apple. And because it was those are both good prosumer items as an editor and camera guy, so I'd be able to capture a frame, throw it in a timeline, and then review it. So I was able to just sort of build that, and they've got some pretty epic scenes in that. Although I had no animation training, really. I didn't really understand the 12 principles. I hadn't learned it anywhere. I just liked moving things around. So things were more steady. They weren't eases in or eases out. But we had some pretty visual, huge, ambitious scenes in those.
It's funny that would be the first thing you make in Lego. Such an ambitious project.
Yeah, that's kind of my style, though. It's I like big visual films. I love things like Braveheart or The Patriot or any Steven Spielberg movie. They have these giant set pieces. It's just it's always big. So we do that same kind of thing at Digital Wizards where we make huge sets and we make spectacular looking movies.
And so does that mean that you hadn't actually seen a brick film before you made your own?
That is correct. I'd never seen one. And actually my neighbor who was doing a voice of one of the Ewoks was telling me, he's like, hey man, there's this thing by White Stripes. They made a Lego video, a Lego music video. You should check it out. Yeah, I watched it. I was like, oh, that's cool. It's it's all made out of Lego bricks. It's pretty wild. But I'd never seen one before. So I just had, the tools that I had in front of me, and I had, giant boxes of Lego that I'd been collecting since I was a kid. So just kind of just went out and did it.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I guess it's kind of something that people wouldn't really think about these days, that you wouldn't have seen one, because nowadays it's how could you not with YouTube and the internet?
And that was the other thing is like this is like 1999, like 2000, so even like YouTube wasn't really. I don't know if YouTube was even around back then.
No, not for another few years, no.
You could maybe see like some internet videos, but like, it's just not like the accessibility that we have nowadays.
Yeah. So yeah, actually, I was going to ask if that was your first brick film, because I kind of expected it to not to be, because this is a Block Wars, isn't it?
Yeah. Block Wars was kind of like, I think it was originally called Joe Blockhead, and then I changed it to Block Wars and kind of like updated the soundtrack because I had done most of the voices. And I'd gotten some other people to do some voices and kind of did like a recut of it and re-released it maybe 5 or 6 years ago. And then just kind of like tweaked the story a little bit to make it a little more accessible. But yeah, Block Wars was the very first one. And then I think I did like a Star Wars one with like the Steven Spielberg set because my girlfriend's mom bought me the Steven Spielberg set for Christmas. And it was a great Christmas present. And then I'm like, well, the camera's kind of like weak sauce because it's just a little web camera. But I'm like, we could do something with this. So we did like a trailer for Clone Wars. And then I went back to shooting on an XL1 because it was just better quality. And that was when I did like Vader Boy, which is like an Avril Lavigne Skater Boy mashup.
And these were made for the Lego Festival animation competitions, weren't they?
Oh, yeah. Well, I had made them, and then I had found out that there were competitions. So I was able to actually submit them to, I think, like 2001 or 2002. There was like Brickfest. Brickfest and Brick West. And then I actually even went down to to Virginia where they had one of the Brickfests. And it was incredible. That was like a really eye-opening experience for me because then I could see everybody else who really, really loved Lego and loved building these massive dioramas. And they were able to just put so many bricks and so much love and all this original creation too. Because mostly, to that point, like I had only seen people building mostly the sets. Sometimes you'd get a little bit of mocks, but not a ton. But like I don't know. Do you guys remember your first Brickfest or Brick Festival?
Well, we're not exactly in the best locations in the world for such things.
Yeah.
Oh, but you guys had like brick conventions?
Not really, no.
Really?
Not.
Well,
not
there
in, like,
might be one in Ireland. I'm not sure,
but like not in Britain or anything, no.
Oh, wow. Yeah, after we had released Jurassic Park, we had actually gotten contacted by this festival for, I think it was like a Harry Potter festival. And they were asking us if we would bring our sets from Jurassic Park to show off at their festival because the new Jurassic Park movie was coming out. And I thought it was like crazy. I'm like, how the heck am I going to pack up? Like, it's going to cost us like 10 grand to pack everything up into containers, ship it, put it in trucks, set it up while we're over there. It's going to take 2 or 3 of us to like set all the sets back up. I'm like, this is crazy. And also like after we're done filming, like a lot of the stuff just gets thrown back into bins or disassembled.
Yeah, of course.
So,
So, I mean, did you ever figure out how you might have done that? Because that's actually a mystery to me when I see these massive scenarios and Lego conventions. How do they get them there in one piece?
We've done a couple of displays, and the more displays that we've done, the other thing is I'm also in Hollywood Lug and Legola, which are Lego user groups, and it's for if you're big fans of Lego, then you can meet other fans of Lego, and you can all build things together and display them at events. And through some of these clubs and events, I've, met more Lego fans, and we've been able to build bigger, cooler things. Because I have a lot of Lego, but, I have friends that have collections that are twice the size of mine, or they just have different things. Everybody's buying different things. Everybody's buying different sets. So we have found ways and techniques on, okay, well, what do you break down, and what do you build at the show, and, how do you package it? How do you move it? There's been a couple of our sets that we've taken even down to Legoland down in San Diego, which is about like a 2-hour drive from Los Angeles. So even then, it's like I have to find ways to like package it, throw it in the back of the car, and then like carry it halfway through a theme park and set it up on a table again.
Yeah. But actually, come to think of it, just to go back to Brickfest and early 2000s there for a moment.
Yeah.
Something I've wondered before is, so if you were making brick films and entering them into the festival competitions, and I assume you would have been meeting some other people who had created brick films, did you ever discover brickfilms.com at that time period?
Brickfilms.com. Yeah, I honestly, that didn't really ring a bell. Like, some people had sent in, like, that was the other thing, was like, so I had made Block Wars and sent it in, and then I think it was like maybe like 9 months later there was Brickfest. So I went down to Brickfest, and that's when I saw that there were some other Lego films that people had made. I think there was like one that was like an Evanescence music video that was a little more 2D Lego.
Yeah, I know the one.
Yeah, I was like the Bring Me Back to Life one, because that was a really popular song back then. And I had met mostly other builders. I don't think there were that many brick filmers that were at these events. The cool thing about that Brickfest was they had actually had, they had like a whole like 200-seat auditorium. So they were actually able to gather like 200 Lego fans. They could all sit in the auditorium and then watch like 35 minutes of brick films, which was pretty spectacular to have a huge audience like that watch your movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, one thing I was wondering, were you ever familiar with Thomas Foote?
Thomas Foote? No, I don't think so. Does he have another, like, does he go by another handle or something, or?
No, but it's just one time when I was researching the animation competitions at Brickfest and Bricks West, I found a picture on Brickshelf of you and Thomas Foote together on a stage.
Oh, really?
It's pretty funny because he's a very early community member in brick filming. So, you know, it's like the two of you represented such wildly different time periods that to see it together was strange.
You know, it's possible we met, like, that's the other thing is, too, like, if I think of, like, 2000, that was what, like, 17, 18 years ago?
Yeah, of course. And you wouldn't have known, like, you wouldn't have gotten deep into conversation with everyone you were pictured with, I'm sure.
Oh my gosh, you know what's funny? It's probably like Martin Scorsese and Steven Spielberg like hanging out like in film school, and then like they go on to have separate careers, but they always like still like run back into each other. I wonder if it's if it's something along those lines.
Well, he hasn't really been seen in brick filming for a very long time.
I mean, in a way, it's kind of like Alfred Hitchcock and Martin Scorsese meeting in a way.
Nice, man. I'll take, I don't know, my Martin Scorsese in this scenario?
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. Nice. No, I'll take it.
Yeah. But going all the way back again, one thing that I do sort of think about, like, when it comes to... because obviously, when you started out, there wasn't, like... the massive community, and it wasn't easy to find like other brick filmers and stuff. But in a way, maybe that kind of makes you want to make your films more ambitious, because like you don't see what the other examples are, so you don't sort of think, oh, this is the standard brick film. Right.
That is a good point. Although, so what happened is I hit a dark ages like after I got married, and then you know, I kind of packed up some Lego for I guess like maybe 4 or 5 years. And then when I had my daughter Haley, like we started playing Lego again, and I had seen a competition come up. It was something like, it was somewhere in Colorado, and I'm like, oh, you know, it'd be cool. I'm like, yeah, I used to make Lego movies. It would be cool to see like what are people making nowadays. So I looked around online, and I saw Forest Fire had put out this incredible Harry Potter brick film. And I was like, wow, man, this is wild, like, what this guy is doing. He's got all these VFX and stuff, and at that point, like, I'd been editing for a while, like, maybe 10 years or something, and I'm definitely more of, like, an editing, like, VFX guru. So, I'm like, all right, well, we can make a film. Like, I got all my editor buddies and VFX friends together, and I'm like, well, what can we do? We're going to shoot for 2 days, and then we have 8 days to do the rest of, like, the VFX and everything. I'm like, why don't we do, like, Cowboys and Aliens? But we'll do it so that it's George Lucas's version of Cowboys and Aliens. It's Quentin Tarantino's version. It'll be like all these, like Michael Bay's version. It'll be like all these different directors' versions of Cowboys and Aliens. So we shot it in 2 days. and then did so many VFX to it. And at that time I was like, yeah, frame rate. I'm like, frame rate doesn't matter. I'm like, what matters is the jokes. It's all about comedy. So like, we just wrote so many different jokes for it and all these different things. So like, James Cameron's version of Cowboys and Aliens has like avatars in it, and it's all about 3D. So, you know, we just had like all these different things. And then I watched it afterwards and I'm like, yeah, you know, pretty good for like what we made in like 10 days. And then I was like, oh yeah, well we did shoot at like I think like 6 or 8 frames per second. And I'm like, kind of clunky, but it was like the more that I watched and the more I got into animation, the more I started understanding frame rates and just seeing how, no, it's not necessarily just about jokes. It is about jokes. It is about story. It is about pacing. It is about timing. But it's also about like frame rate and technical execution. So that's why like the next film we did was Batman's Day Off. And we got down to like, I don't know, 18, like maybe 15 frames? No, we didn't get to 15 frames a second. Maybe like 10 or 8 frames a second. And then we just did another one. But it was like, what I kept doing was I kept getting all of my friends involved and just building up a team, because this is a very collaborative thing. You can't just make a movie by yourself. You need more people. You need people to do voices. You need people to help you out with VFX. Like, you don't want to do all the VFX by yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to do all the graphics. You don't want to do all the credits. You don't want to do, like, I can't write music. So, you know, I have my friend who does television shows. He does a lot of the music for us. And he can come up with, like, custom composing. And I think that's where it was, like, one thing that our Brickfilms were different than other people's were a lot of the people that were working on our films are all working in the industry. And this was just like a favor they do for me for a couple of days. And that's why we could have like an amazingly mixed movie, because my buddy Dave Kelly from Voodoo Highway was able to mix with the same quality that he mixes feature-length films. Or like if we did VFX, then we could do like some crazy VFX, because we've got 3D animators that are, you know, friends that could help out. Like Brent McDonald, he was a huge part at the very beginning of Digital Wizards. He's did like things with the Balrog for our Lord of the Rings film. And we even got, oh my god, we got Vernon Wells for our Lord of the Rings video. And this is a guy who was in the original Mad Max movie. Oh no, he was in Road Warrior. Like, we got Vernon Wells as Gandalf because he was in on a voice session. And we were just like, oh, hey, if you, how would you like to be part of this thing? You know, we're going to film this. And he's like, yeah, sure, cool.
Yeah, sometimes it's surprising when you ask someone to do something and you think it's like a long shot, but usually people are happy to help and enjoy collaborating.
Yeah. You know, I think we tossed him some cash too, and it wasn't like...
that also helps, yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, the other thing too is it is about building relationships with people. I think at that time, a friend I was working with had done Vernon a favor, so he was fine to do a favor for us, and like that cost him maybe 20 minutes of his day.
Yeah,
and he was already in the voiceover booth. So,
but I think sometimes people say that they enjoy brick filming because they get to be in control of every aspect. But I do agree that it's very nice if you've spent so long creating the animation, and then you send off the film and get it back with an element added to it, like the music, and you didn't have to do any work on it, and it comes back great. It's a great feeling, I think.
Oh, yeah. Well, here's the other thing is, like, I'm a decent editor, but I'm not a composer. You know? I'm not, like, I'm good at VFX, but I'm not a 3D animator. I can do pretty nice lighting, but I'm not a cinematographer. Like, there are people who do these roles all the time. And if you're to think about it, like, if your sink breaks down, you know, you call a plumber or you call an electrician when you need wiring in your house. You could probably do it yourself if you really wanted to, but you're not a specialist. And there is something that a trained post-audio engineer can do that I can't do. You know, I have my composer Dave, who does a lot of our mixes. He'll listen to something and he's like, wait, no. He's like, if we're doing a music edit on something, he's like, wait, no, that's not in the right scale. And then he'll run over to his piano and he'll hit like 2 keys and he's going back and forth on the keys. And he's like, dun 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 dun, and he's like, and he listens to find a way to make it so cohesive that you go, oh right, this is what you do all the time. This is why you're winning awards. This is why you're writing songs. This is why you're the man to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually it's a topic that we've discussed on this podcast before. Is that you see like people who make a film all by themselves that's really good, and you just have to wonder what if they had a guy to do each element that they're not the best at, and they could just spend all their time focusing on what they are best at, and it would just take it to the next level and get it done faster as well.
Sure.
And I guess you're probably like one of the very, very, maybe the only person in brick filming who really fits that kind of model of creating the films.
Right. I think it's because I take more of a film approach to it, whereas this is kind of a fun thing that we do, like when we have some downtime. I'm fortunate enough that I've been able to build like a stop motion animation studio, which started with brick filming, and it just, we've had some videos that went viral. So toy companies hire me to make other branded content for them. And like that allows me to have a 2,000 square foot studio space. I have a VFX department. I have a lot of friends who are builders who want to build things together, and we all love Lego. Like that's the best part about this whole thing is there is a toy that's out there that it doesn't matter like when you got it. It doesn't matter how much or how little that you have, but it always works together. It's a system that all works together, and you could build anything you possibly want, and you can animate anything you possibly want. So, given the right resources, like you can make a movie like a Braveheart or an Avatar or a Star Wars movie. Whereas, like, if you're just in your basement and, maybe it was just your friends, it's like maybe you don't have, like, lightsabers or, I don't know, horses or whatever. Like, you can't necessarily make anything in a real-life drama.
Yeah, and you can't just build any set you want. You can't just put up a new wall.
In theory, you can do all these things, but it's going to take you like 10 years if you're on your own.
Yeah. Money is the huge factor in all that, right? Like, yeah, maybe you could build. Like, I've seen dads who built like their kids like a working Millennium Falcon in their backyard, or like a Millennium Falcon tree fort, or an AT-AT tree fort, and I'm like, dang, like that's amazing. Like you could make so many movies with that thing. But not everybody's dad is a carpenter.
But like, I think animating, like, doing your projects on your own is great until you do a project with like a group of people, and you realise just how fun and just how how good that is, And I think like, because I've started now. I'm currently in film school, and you're having to work with like a group of people doing like live action stuff, and I'm starting to really see the value in kind of teaming up and sort of learning what your strengths are, really.
Oh yeah, right. Or like, let's say you have somebody who loves being a cinematographer, and then also someone else who loves being a camera assistant. So they're going to take that camera assistant is going to take that technical job very seriously, and that means that all the footage is going to be captured correctly. It means that the lenses are clean. It means it's all those other technical things that slow you down. So, when you're working by yourself, you're like, did I build the set completely? Right? Do I have, like the team allows you to do things that you don't normally, like maybe even ideas you didn't come up with. That's the beautiful thing about collaboration. It's something that humans do that animals don't. We're the only species on Earth that does collaborations in a creative medium. And whether it's brick filming or another kind of art, painting, whatever it is, we're the only species who does that.
And I think another benefit of it actually is that it could help push you to actually finish a project. Because if you have all this great work done by other people, you can't just give up on it then.
True that, man. Yeah, not only that, but it's like we do find like based on the teams, I find it gets actually kind of competitive a little bit. Sean Willits, myself, Christoph, and Ferran have been working on some projects lately at Digital Wizards. And the guys do get very competitive with each other. So just to kind of break it down for you, I direct, so I don't really get a chance to animate very much anymore on these projects because I'm directing and overseeing the whole thing. But we had 3 animators on our last project, which was a stop motion in VR 180. And this has never been done before. What you do is you take a very wide angle lens, you attach it to a motion controller, and you're able to take a series of pictures of a left eye and right eye. And we've done 2 films like that. We've done a Star Wars film, which was Friend Zone Awakens, Toy Wars, The Friend Zone Awakens. And we did another film, which is Deadpool's Dinner Party of Death. And we were able to do a 3.5-minute long shot, and it's just endless. But what we would do is we'd have to run animators day and night in order to get it done in the timeline that we were working on it. So you'd see like Ferran would work on some stuff, and he's not a brick filmer, he's more of an animator who's done some brick filming. He animated on Jurassic Disney World with me as well. And then Sean Willits would come in and he would animate, and then Christoph would come in and he would animate. So it's like everybody's got, like, they would see something that someone else did, and then it pushes them to do something else. Or they were like, wait a second, when Alien gives Deadpool to Swirly, I wouldn't have done it like that. I would have done it like this. So it's like everybody brings so many different creative ideas to the team that there really is a huge value in operating within a team and just building it up like that.
Yeah. But it's like one of the interesting things that Christoph was telling us about when he was on the podcast, because he was talking about animating on the Friend Zone. Sorry, what's it called? The
Toy Wars, Friend Zone Awakens.
Yeah, he was talking about working on that and how you can sort of tell when each animator comes in and does their part because they have their own sort of distinctive sort of style.
Yeah, that is true. On that one, on Friend Zone Awakens, that one actually, you see it a little bit more than you see it on the Deadpool Dinner Party of Death. And I think it's also because Christoph would get a shot, and then Ferran would get a shot, and then Christoph would get a shot, and then Ferran would get a shot. So, like, Christoph has, he has some strengths that are really, really good. Like, he does that whip scene. That sword whip turns down like it's got erectile dysfunction or something like that. He's so good at his comedic timing. He's really, really strong with that. And Ferran is really, really great with action. So you have you can kind of see, if you look closely, I'm sure animators see it, I'm sure directors see it, I'm sure brick filmers with the right kind of a sharp eye can see these things. When you look at the whole film, though, it feels very cohesive. But there are things that, you would see different animators have slightly different styles. So you try to match that. And I have experienced that with on Overwatch. When we're doing Overwatch House for IGN, we were delivering 20 minutes of stop motion in a 2.5-month period, 3-month period. So we were running four stages. So every stage has a set, every set has an animator, and every animator is working on different parts for a 3 to 4 minute episode that's going, that has different little pieces to it. So, one scene, someone may have to do a lot of dialogue. The next scene, somebody's got to do a lot of action. And, how do you blend that, and how do you work on people's, you have to look for people's strengths or weaknesses. We have this one animator we work with who used to work on Pee Wee Herman, on the Pee Wee's Playhouse stuff. He did all the dinosaur scenes. And Kent. And he's amazing. But his animation is very robotic. So, he was good for animating things like Bastion. But it takes a little while to discover it, though, right? Who is good with what. Kent is great with vehicles. He's great with mechanical animation. Sean Willits, he's got great comedy, he's got great action, he's really good with camera moves. There's really nothing that guy can't do.
Yeah, definitely. He's one of the best that we've ever seen come out of brick filming.
Yeah, actually, you should see this Spider-Man video that he and I are working on right now that I'm producing and he's animating. It is incredible. It's wild. Sean's got a lot of great ideas, and there's been a couple things that we've been like co-directing on. We just co-directed on a project. It was non-Lego, but it was pretty amazing, and it turned out really well. And then his new Spider-Man project looks spectacular.
Is that a Lego project?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you'll see it. Probably it'll be released in hopefully a month, I'm hoping, on the Digital Wizards channel. But we have this city. We were able to build a city that is 80 square feet of Lego.
Wow.
It values to about, I think it's about $75,000 worth of bricks on that table.
Wow. Definitely looking forward to seeing this project.
Oh, yeah.
Especially since it's been so long since we've seen anything from him in Lego.
Well, I think what it is too, it's like, a lot of us are like in LA, like we're working. Like, so he works at Robot Chicken, so he's producing like minutes and minutes and minutes of content. It's just not Lego. He did work. We all worked on the Solo trailer for Disney.
Oh yeah.
Zach Macias, Sean Willits, myself, and Brian, and who's one of our master builders as well. But Brian and I built all the sets. Zach and Sean did a stunning animation on them, and all the VFX were all done by Disney. But it was just a beautiful project. Like, it looks so good.
Actually, I should ask, since the Overwatch Lego sets have been announced, do you think you'll get a call about doing any more Overwatch episodes?
I cannot confirm or deny if we are in those talks right now.
It's a good answer.
Actually, we went down to BlizzCon on the weekend, and we got to see all the sets and pull them all out and have a really good in-depth look. I love Lego. I love Overwatch. This is really like a great pairing of licensing for me. I'm really excited to see what people are going to build. If they can build a Hanumura, if they can build, whatever payload sets. Like we've got an amazing Big Earl's Route 66 set that like we've just wanted to expand on because we had the train cars. Like we wanted to do the diner, but the thing is, the other thing to keep in mind is when you are building for a client, you have that timeline. So you say, okay, well, great. We do have budget and we do have 6 weeks to get 3 minutes shot, but it doesn't mean we can just film anything and build everything too. Like we have days set aside for how many build days can we get? How many shoot days do we have? How much VFX time do we have? You get a little bit more freedom when you're brick filming on your own. But you do have a little bit more financial support when you're brick filming for a client. So it is really cool to see that Lego is making Overwatch sets. And I imagine there's going to be some pretty stellar video content coming out next year for Overwatch.
Yeah, and I actually really like the look of the sets. Looks like a great design.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that payload set looks great. The Gibraltar set with the shuttle looks good, and then you have the little drone that goes with it. We actually just released our video review on it yesterday on the Digital Wizards channel, and it was pretty cool. Like we got to really look at like a very detailed look at those sets, and I love them. I can't wait to get them all.
Yeah, and actually what interested me most was the mechs. And do you think that they would be animatable?
Oh yes, those mechs are animatable, definitely. You are going to still want to have a rig.
Yeah.
But yeah. And I really do like the mechs. I think the mechs are going to sell out like crazy. Like both the Diva mech and the Reinhardt were awesome builds. The Diva mech features like 20 points of articulation. She's got a cool back hatch. The balance on her is really good. Brian had built us a Diva mech last year for Overwatch House, and that thing was crazy. Like, I can't even believe he found that much pink, and he had gotten a really nice, sleek, compact design. We had to find Lego pieces from like 10 years ago for certain pieces. We were like, oh wait, there's this perfect windshield, and like, who's got this thing? So we're scouring around all of our friends' collections in LA to try to find who's got that perfect windshield piece for the Diva Mech. The great thing is Lego had been able to, with these new sets, they were able to build and design some new pieces that will look and help out and just make these sets look really spectacular.
Yeah, of course. But then at the same time, there is the charm in making it yourself and having to source all the old perfect pieces.
Oh, yeah, man. Yeah, everybody loves my own creations, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys had noticed with the Big Earls on the Route 66 for Overwatch House, I think it's the 4th episode when they're pushing the payload. We did cursive writing in bricks, and that was all done by James Banks, one of my good buds. And he is insane. He's just an insane builder. But he did cursive writing in Lego? Like, everything is like, it's not building, it's going sideways, it's going upside down, it's going like... It's incredible, man. Like, it's just so incredible, like, what people can do with Lego.
It is, yeah. And actually, I mean, I've been trying to wrap my head around just trying to get some normal-looking writing in Lego bricks for an upcoming project. And even just, block letters, it's tricky. It doesn't lend itself exactly well to writing at all.
No, the hardest thing to build with Lego are curves. And that's where you have to either build sideways, upside down. You can't always think about having your studs go up top, always pointing up to the sky, Maybe build sideways. You can do a lot with the different slope pieces and cheese pieces and different angles that you can get out of like plates and everything. Just with building sideways.
That's what I've been getting into a lot recently, yeah.
I love though looking at like these sort of like mocks and stuff and just working out like, oh, they used that piece for this and all that kind of stuff, and it's something that's just like really sort of satisfying. I don't know, like just looking at these things and just realizing what you can do with those particular pieces.
Oh yeah, and that's what really makes the Lego club meetings a lot of fun too. Like, do you guys have lugs where you guys are located?
There might be one.
Yeah, like a Lego users group, or
there's probably one for the whole country. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I guess we're pretty fortunate because we have one in Los Angeles. James Banks and I started the Hollywood Lug. So, and we're dedicated more towards stop motion and filmmaking. We've got an event coming up for Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts where we're going to teach them how to do some stop motion. That's going to be really cool. And that's great because we're actually going to have like a couple of the animators. Our storyboard artist is coming with us. Sean Willits is coming with us. One of our VFX guys is coming. Our DP is coming down with us. So we're going to be doing this really cool event to teach kids and kind of give a little something back to the next generation of brick filmers. And, hopefully they dig it and they get into it and they want to make their own films.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, that sounds really cool.
Yeah. But I think part of that is just because Los Angeles is so big. So, like, I think there's like over 200 members in one of our groups. There is. And then Orange County is like right next door. So there is some overlap. Because there's a lot of... The Orange County Lug is also really big, too. And then there's an Inland Empire one. There's also there's just lots of Lego groups all around. And you see them at different conventions and stuff. So it's like, we have a couple of different conventions here in LA. I think there's like Bricks LA. There's also another one. But yeah, people will bring all the cool things that they've been building. We'll bring a lot of our sets. Like we've shown off the Ghostbusters set or the Overwatch guns and some of the Overwatch sets. We bring them out and display them to people, and everybody loves, seeing the sets in real life and seeing like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize it was this big, or I didn't realize you put lights in that thing, or like you were able to do this, or like, everybody always asks like, oh, where can I buy this? Or, what set does this come in? And we're like, this is all original. You can't buy this anywhere.
Yeah, actually, one thing I wanted to ask, actually, because, you've had so many, like, really amazing experiences working with people and making films like Lego Group and all that kind of stuff, but is there, like, one particular, like, memory you have that is, like, your fondest memory?
Of brick filming?
Yeah.
That's a great question. There's a couple that come to mind. There was one this year where Sean and I were at Disney and we were talking about how do we move the Millennium Falcon around and how do we attach it to things. Because they were actually moving it around on this giant C-stand. That was pretty nice. But I think one of my favorite memories is probably from this year with Jurassic Disney World, where we were working on it. Brian and Christoph were helping out with sets. We had taken a mountain from one of our other projects. It's like this big crazy felt mountain. And we added a roller coaster to it, and Christoph was working on that. But I think what I like is when I look around the studio and I see 4 to 12 people all helping out on one big project, like that's the thing that I love. Like I love seeing how everyone's love for Lego has brought us together to make this one video, to make this, this one thing for this one moment in time. For like this Lego Batman video that we just did in VR, we built this like massive city. It was actually the city that we used first for Batman, and then Sean's using it for Spider-Man. But we had like, oh my God, I want to say like 12 people helping work on it. We came up with an elevated train idea that Brian and I had we were like kicking around, like, where do we put the train? The idea behind this Lego Batman video was we wanted to do a VR experience. We wanted to use a lot of motored vehicles and things and all these Lego power functions. And we're trying to figure out like, how do we lay out, this like $75,000 worth of Lego? Like, how do we lay out which part of the city goes where? Where do we build the Batcave? Like, where do we, how are we going to do the lighting for, to make it look like the waterfall's working? These are the kinds of memories that sort of stand out, where it's like, it's all the collaboration and the problem solving and just all that just good juice and good creativity that comes from working with a team full of amazingly awesome creative artists. We're all trying to work towards the same goal. We're all just trying to make the most epic, crazy brick film we can possibly think of.
I think that's a good answer, yeah.
Yeah.
And I do love the problem-solving element in creating a film.
Yeah. Christoph came up with this amazing device. It was like a cup that had like polka dots on it, and he like built it into this axle and had a little turn handle on it. And like when you shine a light through it, it looks like, and you play that over top of like this brick built waterfall thing that was left over from like a beach that my daughter Haley had built. She had I'd gotten all these amazing blue pieces and translucent pieces, and she took every single one of them and like built a beach out of it, and it stayed like a beach for like 2 years. And then we finally reused it into a waterfall. But like you add that little lighting effect that Christoph came up with, and all of a sudden it's like, it looks like it's moving. It was kind of an interesting challenge to have, to not shoot animation and also to shoot it with a VR camera, which has 2 very wide angle lenses on it. It's not until you put the headset on that you actually like dial into this and you can actually see much closer up. But yeah, I love the problem solving. Like that is just hands down the most fun part of brick filming.
Yeah. And Christoph is really good in his own projects at novel concepts, doing things that haven't really been done before.
Yeah, man. That guy is so creative.
Yeah, for sure. And in such a short period of time as well. He hasn't been active for very long.
Right. Yeah. It's great. And I think he loves working with a bigger collection over at our place. Yeah, it's great, man. He's got a lot of good ideas. Actually, some of the stuff, he's known around the studio as the pterodactyl guy because he's animated so many pterodactyls for us on like between Rusty Rivets and then Jurassic Disney World. It was like he's got a really good idea of swooping, these nice little arcs. Yeah, he's done a really great job with a lot of the rig work. And I think you see that in his animation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you were lucky to get him early on before someone else did.
Oh, yeah, I know people are going to snatch up artists all the time. You know, it is LA. There's lots of jobs. There are a lot of opportunities. We have a lot of people who work with us who work at Stupid Buddy for a bit, and then they have some downtime, and then they work with us. And that goes from like animators to art directors to builders, set designers, all across the board. You know, that's the great thing about Los Angeles is everybody has come here from somewhere else, following the dream of making entertainment, and sometimes you're lucky enough to get paid to do it. So
Yeah,
it works out.
yeah. There's definitely a lot of very talented people that you get to work with for sure.
Yeah, it's, speaking of Christoph, have you seen his most recent film?
Which one?
Cool Jesus, it's called. It's it's a music video he did for a group called Mudrock, I think.
Oh, yeah. He was telling me about it. That's funny. I didn't know it actually came out yet. No, that's funny. He didn't even send me the link.
I think it was only a week ago, or just a bit over a week ago, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I haven't seen it yet. I do know. That's funny. He had borrowed some plates for it. He'd like asked to borrow some Lego or something, and I was like, dude, send me the link when it's done, and he hasn't. I think I might see him tomorrow. I don't know. But yeah, I've been kind of curious to see what he was going to come up with.
But it's really amazing that he did this thing with a record player, these figures, and he has like loads of the same figure all the way around this like.
Oh, he made a Zoetrope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wild!
And he has this. It's like really amazing. It looks like animation, you know, and he's moving around, and each one is very slightly different.
I remember you made one yourself a few years ago with all the same set.
Yeah, that was actually a fun group effort. That was one of our Lego club meetings. Was you invite 100 of your closest Lego friends over to your house, and I think like 65 people showed up to my house that day, which was like, it's so many people to have in like a 2-bedroom house. We're all building outside, and we came up with the Zoetrope idea because we had a surplus of all these sets. Brian had designed, we could do this little thing, so we got an assembly line of people to design it. Damon and I came up with the lighting. I think Travis also helped out with some of the lighting, and then we just figured a way to sort of shoot it without. We did the Zoetrope without doing the light on it, but we just kind of rotated it around. We also built like our own turntable, and even the turntable was built by another huge Lego fan, Peter Abrahamson. He's done like a lot of he's built a lot of robotic stuff, and he's an insane builder, that guy. And
do you still use the turntable? Because I think the Four Monkeys have used a turntable to make some nice spinning camera shots and Brickfilms.
Yeah, we've done the turntable on some things. I also have we have a motion controller. We have a Ditto Omni head and a Ditto Omni slider. So we have an 8-foot slider as well as a Omni head, which is like a pan and tilt head with focus, with a rack focus, which is great for like repeatable movements and if you need to get clean plates. It does take a hot minute to set up, like maybe 4 to 5 hours, because once you set up, you keep practicing moves, and do I like this move, or do I like that move, or do I like this thing? But if we have the time, we do set up that motion controller quite a bit. And then we built another slider. We built a 6-inch slider to go on top of that slider. So then that way we could have push-ins and pans at the same time in stereoscopic.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty complicated.
It is ridiculously complicated. Like when we first started doing stereoscopic animation, I thought for some reason it was going to be easier. I just twice as many frames? Yeah, whatever, that should be fine. It's probably just twice as much work. But it's not twice as much work. It's probably like 5 times as much work because now your set is bigger, and now the space where you can hide things is smaller, and now the amount of characters that are in the shot ends up being more. So if you see that like that Toy Wars Friend Zone Awakens, where we're doing that like throne room scene, and there are 6 soldiers attacking Rey and Kylo, that's like a 6-second shot that I think took like 27 hours straight to animate.
Well,
Wow, yeah, yeah. I think Christoph must have been talking about that. I think the project wasn't mentioned by name, but a 24-hour plus shot certainly was.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, it was still under wraps at that point. Yeah, so we had that one for. Yeah, that was nonsense, and it's just crazy. But like, that's the thing is like the artists I work with all love doing animation. We love making art. So, for like, Ferran wanted to do that shot all himself. He didn't want to give up a single frame to anyone else. So he's like, Paul, he's like, get me 3 Red Bulls. I will I will continually work on this until it's done. I'm like, yeah, man, whatever you need. You want to do it, it's yours. And it's great. It's stunning. It's like probably one of like the best looking animated shots I think I've ever seen. And then, that's the other thing too, is like he does this outstanding shot, and then we've got to remove the rigs, and then we have Carissa in our VFX department remove the rigs, and then we had to animate like VFX fire, but we had to do that in stereoscopic, so it's on 2 different layers. So you have one for the left eye and one for the right eye, and then we're adding like smoke and lightsaber blasts, lightsaber blades. So it's like it does take a long time to do a stereoscopic VR 180 stop motion, but it is the first one as well. So like that's what I'm really happy about.
It's actually impressive that being the first one, it's it's a long video by animated video standards, and has multiple shots, because usually the first go at something like that is often just like a 1-shot short.
Yeah, we had done some tests. This was a project for Google. They wanted to create some new VR content, and I pitched them this idea of we could do stop mo, and I didn't really know at the time like what that actually meant. I'm like, well, we could figure it out though. We understand cameras, we understand lenses, we understand motion control. We can figure out how to do this. So there was like a learning curve to figure out, because no one had ever done it before, but people had shot stereoscopic films within Dragon Frame, so there are some things there. But there's just certain things that you don't take into effect, like the motion controller has a number of seconds between shots, and sometimes that's 30 seconds. So it's you film one eye, and then the motion controller is moving to go shoot the other eye. Well, that's 30 seconds. So if you actually add that up over throughout a time of day, you're losing about an hour and a half to 2 hours of time that just the camera is moving to do this. And that means time that the animator is not animating, so it's like we're only getting somewhere between like 5 and 8 seconds, 5 to 9 of stop mo in a stereoscopic VR 180 video. So it's a slower pace, but I think the payoff is really cool. And I don't know if you guys have ever had a chance to watch that in a headset.
I haven't actually. I mean, I do have a headset, but I've barely used it, so I should give it a look.
I'm the same
That's
as well,
like the biggest reward. Like when you're watching a VR video in a headset, it's kind of like going to an IMAX film in a way. And if you're just watching it online, it's kind of like watching an IMAX movie like on the radio almost, because you're missing so much. Like in a headset, you feel the size of the toys. You look around the set and it's like everything is huge. Like we've built these massive pillars. The throne room, the throne was amazing. It was a great build by Brian Hines again. We designed an area for lights to fill inside of it. The back throne room wall was built by Jeff Cross, who does a lot of the building over at Stupid Buddy, and he's also an insane Lego builder. I think he builds like all the Lego sets for all their like Robot Chicken and all the Lego videos they film over there. But yeah, he built like a curved wall, a 10-foot curved wall out of wood, That was pretty amazing. It looks like a skateboard ramp almost.
One of the things I really like about the Friendzone Awakens is the heads of Snoke and Kylo Ren, because they're not actually the heads from the sets, are they?
Oh yeah, yeah. That's the other thing is like the more we've been diving into stop motion, the more we've been like bringing in other elements to it. You know, because Kylo, like he does that whole scene with his mask off in the movie. So yeah, we wanted to build these clay heads. And then Snoke, like there is no Snoke, so we had to like build that out of clay. And Nilani Williams is our art director, and she carved all those, and she's just incredibly talented. And she brought in her friend Holly Parker, who did the gold robe for Snoke. Like that robe has couture stitching in it. So, you know, like when you think of like stop motion puppets, you think of small stitches. Well, there's this like couture way of sewing clothes where you don't even see the stitches. And it's like, I think it's that kind of care and detail. Like when we talk about collaboration and we talk about like who can do something better than, you know, I can. Holly can definitely make clothes better than I can for Lego people. So she gets the gig.
Somebody who really knows their area well, yeah.
And then the clay faces were something where it's like we had actually done Snoke's face first, and we did this like funny like dummy kind of jaw, like it almost looks like a ventriloquist dummy, the way how he talks, and that was hugely successful. So I was like, Nilani, we got to make Kylo as well. So she makes a Kylo, and then I'm like, oh, should we do this with Rey? I'm like, because then it'll feel like it'll feel a little more complete. We tried it out with Rey. But for some reason, it's easier to do older and uglier people that have flaws, and it's harder to do someone that has such smooth complexion like Daisy Ridley.
Yeah, I was just thinking that is the fact that they've got such distinctly unusual faces must lend itself.
Yeah, I think it's a little more forgiving. Like Kylo Ren's face is so like big and puffy and weird, and Snoke's face is so winkly. But doing Daisy Ridley, like she's got this very strange hairline that looks like they were trying to hint at like, well, maybe she's Qui-Gon Jinn's daughter or something. And it's just it's kind of a hard head to make.
Yeah, it's a bit like whenever you look at these like figures, like the more like ugly or kind of like distinctive like looking characters, they can easily mold to look like the characters, and then you get like more like just normal human kind of characters that just don't work, you know.
Yeah, I think that is something with animation. I think the more realistic things are made, the less the less easy it is for us to accept it. And I think that's what you're touching on, right? Because there's like some animations you look at and you're like, so realistic, or it almost looks like it's like live action. Like, why even do this in animation?
Yeah.
It's like, I think
motion capture.
we like animation because it is fantastic and because it is cartoony and because it is an escape. I don't know if we like animation that's too real.
Yeah,
I agree, yeah. I always think that if you're just trying to emulate live action, then, well, just do live action.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, animation, it's kind of, it's creating worlds which, could only exist through animation. So what's the point of trying to make it like the real world,
Yeah.
But, actually, something I wanted to ask was, was your influence in brick filming basically all through just a background in film and animation, or are there any brick films in particular that have influenced your own work?
That's a great question. I think it's mostly based off of Hollywood movies and what I love, which is, I think, why I do so many things that are things like Ghostbusters and Jurassic Park and Avengers and superhero films. It's only when I look at things that are like from Forrest or Mind Game or Sean, like when I see other films like that, I think sometimes that influences my style. There's actually one big influence I had. I got to work with Garrett Barati for about a year and a half or so, and we produced a lot of stuff for Lego Group with the Mixels line. And like Garrett is like this amazingly talented animator. I actually learned like a crash course, pretty much like animation college, by basically working with him. But he ran a studio in LA for a couple of years. It was a small place. It was him, Brian, and myself were the only ones who worked there. But we made some pretty cool things. We did a lot of stuff for like Lego Mixels, and it was like there, like I learned about the 12 principles of animation. Because like Garrett's done like he's done some incredible films. And his way is he tries to do it as brick built as possible and like less VFX as possible. Like that's his thing. It's like if he can shoot it realistically, he's going to do it realistically. And I think that was an influence on me for a while because I love that idea. I'm like, oh, if we have Lego, we use Lego. We don't necessarily need to make a real tree or something like that. And I think that's where we started doing a lot of things like squashes and stretches made out of bricks. Like I love that. Or like movements that are like a swish that becomes a brick. Like I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I love that stuff as well. I always try and think about is there a way you can do it in brick?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's why, his stuff has been a real sort of influence. Like he did like that original Star Wars Fastest and Funniest.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's just amazing. That.
Yeah.
And he did the backgrounds in camera with a TV screen, I think.
Yeah, man. He's a very talented animator. But I think he moved away from LA like a couple years ago.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about that because I haven't really heard about anything he's made for a while now. Is he still animating?
Yeah, sorry, I don't really know too much of what he's up to.
Okay.
I guess sort of related to this. Have you noticed that Mob Deli has sort of started becoming more active again?
Well, he's uploading things that he made for Lego, but they're not recent.
Oh no,
They're not.
Huh?
Yeah, I mean they've been around on Lego YouTube channels over the years.
Yeah.
But he's just grouping them together on his own channel now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's like when you're making stuff for Lego, it goes on their channel, and I think some of the agreements are like you don't get there isn't like credits.
Yeah.
That is a bone of contention for some people. It's somewhere between this world of like if you're making YouTube videos, you kind of tend to know like whoever's channel it's on. You kind of tend to know like you look at a Brotherhood film and it's Kevin Ulrich made that. Like you can tell in his animation style. You look at a Pagano film and you know that he made that. But I think some people, it's kind of like you put a lot of work into something. I think some people want that kind of credit of seeing their name on screen. I think that's really hard for people when they're making ads for someone else that you don't get those credits.
Yeah. And also, if this stuff only ever ends up on Lego's YouTube channel, they must upload hundreds of videos a week, and it just gets buried and lost.
Yeah. Think about that. Think
Yeah,
about
like
working on something for a month or 2 months. I don't know where it goes.
It's crazy though. Like their YouTube channel is just so kind of like messy.
It's chaotic.
And they've got like a couple million subscribers, and most of their videos don't get more than like 10,000 views. Just because it's just so hectic.
Oh, really? So it's even happening to Lego too, then?
Yeah.
No, I don't feel so bad.
Yeah.
Hey, so were you saying that you're in film school now?
He is. I'm not.
Oh, okay. Did you go to film school?
I was doing animation for a bit, but I stopped doing that. I decided it wasn't really the right path, so I might try again something else soon.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I thought that animation would make sense, but then I didn't expect it to be sort of more about the actual drawing than the animation theory, I suppose.
Oh, okay. So, what, do you illustrate at all?
Well, I think that I'm competent at it. It's just it's not really what I'm passionate about. Like I was there, and all the people around me were all drawing basically 24/7. Like,
yeah,
if they were on buses or just they had downtime, that's what they were just into the whole time. And I was just looking and thinking, I'm not really like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it just kind of I really should have looked into it more beforehand, I guess.
Well, there's also different jobs in animation too. Like maybe if somebody else modeled the character, like you would be into rigging it or and like the actual animation or the lighting or like maybe there's some other part of the process. It kind of makes sense if you're into stop motion. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're into drawing.
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
So,
but I'm kind of thinking that I might try something a bit more generally film oriented
mhm.
because I think that in making stop motion films, I'm interested in all the film aspects, really.
Yeah, you don't want all those years of like storytelling to go to waste.
Yeah,
You can probably just translate those skills. Those skills will transfer over to something else, like whether it's camera department or sound or directing or whatever.
Well, it's kind of funny because like a lot of the techniques that I kind of started to do, a lot of the techniques that they use in films like regularly, like focus pulling, tracking shots, that kind of thing. And I think you can translate a lot of the stuff you learn from stop motion into live action, probably more than like if you did hand drawn animation or something like that.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I don't think are there camera moves? Like I guess there are camera moves and maybe in CG animation, but yeah. Huh.
so I guess we should go to the Brickfilm Showcase now.
All right, sounds
Yeah,
good.
sure. Yeah, okay. So my pick was 8-Bit Trip, which is a 2009 music video set to a song by the Swedish chiptune band Rymdreglage. I probably completely kind of...
Is it
butchered
Armageddon?
that, but...
Is that how you pronounce that? Like Armageddon? Armageddon?
I don't know.
Yeah, that is a wild film.
Yeah.
And it was made by the same guys who made the music as their own music video.
Yeah, it's cool. You see, it is kind of like the animation is mechanical, so it is kind of that. I think that thing that when everybody starts animating, they don't necessarily understand the 12 principles or how things really work or move from one to the next. But I love, like, conceptually, I love where this is going. Like, they cover a dude in Lego, they make a bunch of karate guys, they have, weird, like, rainbow things happening all over the place. It's pretty trippy.
It's actually, it kind of reminds me of the White Stripes music video you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a bigger version of that in a way.
Yeah, it's weird. It has this also like very nostalgic feeling Lego video because it's only done with like what looks like 2x4s and 2x2s.
Yeah, and I think there's only 3 or 4 colors
Right?
the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah, so it does feel kind of like whatever was in like that old box of Lego that everybody inherits.
Yeah. What I really love as well is that all these kind of like references to all these 8-bit kind of video games like Mario and those kind of things.
Oh yeah, the Pac-Man part too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a cool film.
Yeah, and I remember when this came out, it was like a really big deal. It was being shared on lots of websites. And they were talking about making a sequel at some point a few years ago, but haven't heard about that in a good few years now. But hopefully, it's just so big and impressive that it's taken them all this time or something.
They've been working on it ever since 2009.
It's possible.
I wonder if they're still a band.
Yeah,
maybe.
They last released stuff, I think, in 2014. I looked up on their Spotify just out of curiosity.
Yeah.
So they were still doing stuff like 4 years ago, but yeah, I don't know if they're still doing stuff now. But yeah.
But yeah, it's a pretty popular one. What's kind of cool about it is that there is no like IP attached to it. It is just Lego bricks moving around geometrically, and they do have like that video game throwback feel to it.
But that's true actually. Like, it got so popular just on the strength of it being impressive because the title essentially looks like nonsense.
Right. Rymdreglage, yeah, they got some nice camera moves in there. That stuff feels like it's on a turntable.
Yeah, it's very consistent.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually really intrigued by those scenes that look kind of like live action. Are they actually? Is that actually brick built as well?
No, I think that's a filter.
Oh, the Mario
okay,
one, or the like the two guys.
Yeah, 2 guys, and they put a cartridge in a machine.
Yeah, that does feel like a mosaic filter, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean it is well done. But I have heard about filters that can do an effect like that, and it certainly looks like full motion.
Right. Because otherwise, the alternate, like how to actually do that, you would probably film it, set it up as a lineup layer within Dragonframe, and then have to like rebuild your wall.
Yeah.
Or replace your wall. Like that sounds like a nightmare.
It does, yeah. And I mean, people have done things along those lines but on a much smaller scale.
Sure, yeah.
But yeah, definitely, this looks like it's live action filtered.
Yeah, I think it's also because the black is so black, like it's so dark that it doesn't look like black Lego that is filmed, that it doesn't have that shininess to it or that, scratches or the flaws.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's like the whole thing is just so kind of like I suppose like mesmerizing, I suppose you'd say. Like it's just so like that kind of like really satisfying to watch, like it's just so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like something that you'd see in Doctor Strange, right? Or...
Yeah.
The actually one scene that really impresses me in this one is they have that like cube. Then the cube is like moving around like that, like conceptually coming up with that. I think that's a really cool idea. I think they executed that really well.
And also, there's like similar to that. There's that wall with like there's sort of sides, and it kind of moves around. Like that's just insane. How do they do that?
Right. Oh yeah, with the mushroom and the little Koopa thing or the Mario villain.
Yeah, and it comes around the corner. Yeah. Yeah, it's really impressive stuff.
Yeah, I love when they do like these brick built effects.
Yeah, I agree. But I think they mentioned somewhere how long it took them, and maybe in the description. But yeah, it was a very long time.
Yeah, I believe it.
I can't remember what it was, but I remember it definitely being many, many hours. So yeah, it's no surprise that we don't see this kind of stuff all that often.
Oh, 1,500 hours in description. That's over 60 days. 60 days. Wow. What have you done in 60 days?
I've probably done like 30 seconds of animation in that time.
Well, I think it's 60 days continually. Like, imagine if you had 60 days. That's the other thing, too, right? Like, how many of us actually get the opportunity to do nothing but animate 60 days in a row? You can really only do that if you have a client or if you have, like, some money coming in. You can't just not do anything and just do 60 days of nonstop animation.
Yeah. I wonder if you think about it, like, not doing something to quite that scale, but doing something like with minifigures, like a normal brick film, but non-stop 60 days, you'd probably be able to make a feature film.
Yeah, you could. I think the Friend Zone Awakens took us, I think it was like 3,000 hours or 3,500 hours, which was 5 to 6 people working over a 2-month period. So I think that does work out to be about 60 days, but that's 2 minutes in stereoscopic. We have done a project where we did 2 minutes in 8 days for a feature film. It wasn't brick filming, but that's the thing. It's like if you can find where do you find those numbers? Can you get 2 minutes a week? You have to get 2 minutes a week for 60 days. 60 days breaks out to what, 8 weeks?
Yeah.
Yeah.
16. I don't know. Maybe you can hit 20 minutes if you're lucky.
Well, it depends on the scale, I suppose. Like on Bricks in Motion, we have the Brick Film Rapidly All Week Long contest, and people can make impressive 4-minute or 5-minute films even sometimes for that.
Right, yeah. Yeah, and I think it just depends. Yeah, you're right. It is all about scale.
Yeah, but of course, I mean, even that's flat out work.
Mm-hmm.
So you wouldn't want to be going flat out for 8 weeks in a row.
Oh wow, yeah, I know. Could you imagine?
No, I could not.
Like if you did Brawl for like 8 weeks in a row, I think you would just die.
I mean, it feels bad enough after 1 week.
Well, maybe the 8 weeks means that you wouldn't be killing yourself every day because you have 8 weeks, right? Like you do go, okay, well today we're gonna shoot 40 seconds. And then tomorrow, maybe I shoot 7 seconds, but it's a good 7 seconds. So
yeah.
I mean, the problem I'm having right now is that I've just started now. After like about 6 month hiatus on this one project, I've actually started animating it again, and but I'm trying to kind of like juggle around university. So I have like this week I've had just today as a day off. So I spend all day building the set, and this evening I'll be doing the couple of seconds of animation within that set. So
what are you even talking to us for, man? You should be building and animating right now. Don't ever stop. No, you're still building while you're podcasting?
I'm just taking a break to do the podcast.
Could you imagine how bad your audio would be if you were like sifting through Lego bins like while you're talking? You'd be That'd be so funny. You'd be like, "Hey guys, what's going on?" "Oh yeah, sure."
Well, maybe I should try next time doing that whilst also recording audio for a film.
Your script is the podcast, right? Like they're like you'd have to ask your guests to say certain things.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. Live podcasting VO session. You can make it happen.
Now you have to scream.
Yeah, right? They're like, "Oh my god!" They're like, "What's your impression? Give me a Megan Fox impression." "He transforms? Whoa!"
I've half been considering doing something like that because I want to be interviewing people for my History of Brickfilms series, and I was considering just asking them to just say like one word or one reaction noise and just have a bunch of cameo appearances in a crowd scene. And it'd be much faster than having to ask everyone and then wait to get something back. If I was already talking with them, I'd just be like, "Hey, could you just say this one word for my film?"
That is an incredible idea. I love that. What noise do you need me to make?
How about just a shocked gasp reaction? Fantastic, thank you.
Yeah,
I'll put that in my next film, which will come out next year and will be extremely good, I hope.
Nice. Now it's got to live up to the hype.
Well, now you can put starring Paul Hollingsworth.
The video description or the title featuring Digital Wizards, and then like 20 other names.
They're like, and just list. Now that is like, it's funny that like when we first start making movies, a lot of the time like people get so focused on opening title sequences, right?
Yeah.
Make these like opening title sequences where they're like, produced by, written by, directed by, catering by, original score. Yeah, and it's all the same person. It's like, look, dude, just like get to the movie.
Yeah, it was such a big thing in like the mid 2000s when Windows Movie Maker was brand new.
Yeah,
and all the Brickfilms, like half their running time was the credits with the white text on the blue background, just the same name for every single role.
Right. Yeah, I know. There's so many egos out there, right? Like, just, we get it. You made this thing, We don't need to see your name a million times.
I think that they were just, it was just a novelty to be able to even generate titles.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
When I was like 12 and I started like making films just for myself, I used to like make up names for the cast as if it was like this massive cast of people.
I love that. I'm guilty of that too. Like, especially because I don't like people thinking that I do every voice. So I'm like, that was Bud Weston. That wasn't Paul Hollingsworth. That was Skip McRuth. That was Jasmine Hernandez. Or that was Mikhail Gorby. Not. I always come up with like different names to try to fill it in.
Yeah.
And now I just have to get real people doing the audio.
That helps.
Yeah. Anything else to say about this Rymdreglage?
I think have we more or less covered it?
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's true. You nailed it.
Oh, do you know what? It could be enjoyed. It could be enjoyed not just as a brick film, but for like what's the thing I usually say? I've forgotten now.
It's been too long. We've forgotten all our tropes we have to fit into every episode.
Yeah.
But I think we should move on to who goes next.
It's you now.
Okay, So I picked a very, very unknown brick film called Fun by a New Zealand brick filmer called Peter Friend. And this film is from 2002. And
Oh, yeah, it was an oldie.
yeah, and I believe it was available on the Stop Motion Pro website around that time.
Huh.
And other than that, it's not really been seen much. But I'm always interested in these films that are non-minifigure and have, you know, an original robot design. And especially this, like, being before Robota and before some of the other influential ones.
Yeah.
It's impressive. And yeah, it's just a nice inventive film. It's a creative stuff going on. Like, I love how the robot has a wheel with all his emotions on it, and he just cycles between what mouth shape he wants to make.
Yeah, it's pretty creative.
And it's kind of like, it's pretty small. The way it's shot is pretty small scale, but implying a much larger landscape. So he gets a lot out of what he has to work with.
Yeah, I think when I look at this, it felt like the table size wasn't very large.
Yeah.
And I think that really sort of limited like where he set up his cameras. Like, it does feel like there weren't a ton of different angles. It was just kind of like one wider shot and one closer shot. But I get the feeling this was made by somebody who was kind of younger and maybe getting into it.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, I think he was actually kind of older than the general demographic, but definitely it's an early film. I mean, it's from 2002, so yeah.
Do you think this was made with the movie maker?
You mean Lego Studios?
Yeah.
No, it wasn't made at Lego Studios. It's too good quality for that.
Do you know, there's something about it that I don't really know why, but it kind of reminds me of, like, Aardman in some way. Like, the kind of humour, the visual humour of it. Like, he's walking around, he finds this sign, it says fun, he just keeps following it, and he keeps following it, you know? I don't know, somehow that just reminds me of, like, almost like Wallace and Gromit type of humour. Yeah,
I think so. Maybe it's that simplicity, I think, kind of works really well for this.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's sort of like, you know, in the first Wallace and Gromit when the robot is skiing on the moon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's kind of similar to that in a way, so maybe that's what's reminding you of it.
Yeah, I think it was that one in particular, Grand Dale, which kind of, yeah, it kind of feels like that in some way, yeah.
I kind of love that this guy's name is Peter Friend. Like, I would love if my name was Friend.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you'd probably know everyone. Everybody would want to be your friend.
And then you've got, like, someone else called Fiend or something.
Like, your girlfriend's name was Fiend, but, like, your name was Friend.
That's the kind of name you would put on a credit and pretend is in your film.
Right? Like, hey, we got Peter Friend in this. No, that's a great name. Yeah, it's a good little film.
Yeah.
Did he make more films?
He did, actually. He was making the occasional brick film over about 10 years, I think. And he has one that's called Hobson's Choice that had a small fan base at some point around 2010. It basically was a minor cult classic, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of more like a regular type of brick film with more dialogue and minifigures. But this one here, I was just really surprised that it doesn't even have 100 views on YouTube.
Yeah.
So I really wanted to just talk about it and just to hope that somebody would watch it.
Yeah. But, like, I think one of the things you were saying that's quite interesting is that he's, like, one of the only, like, New Zealand brick filmers.
Yeah. Very few that I can think of.
Yeah, isn't, like, Forlorn Creature, or is he in Australia?
He's Australian, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, it's cool for him to represent.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that pretty much covers that film.
Yeah, sure.
So I guess, do you want to introduce your pick?
Yeah, sure. So my pick for the showcase was David Pickett's Nightly News at 9, Orange Green War Continues. I really love this film. I think it's really cool. Like David he's done such a great job world building. He's given us characters like Silver Spine and like just everything about this I love. I love like the brick built effects. I love the symbolism of just orange and green not getting along just because it's orange and green. Yeah, it's a visual delight and it's really funny and I can't say enough good things about this movie.
It's funny how when we were talking about 8-Bit Trip, we mentioned the the way you'd have to have all your shots set up and replace your wall in each frame, and it would take too long. But that's what he does with the Eye of Eyes in Night 9.
Right, and how did he get all those eyes? What set did that come in? Or there's probably like so many.
Bricklink, I'm sure.
Yeah. Did Bricklink still exist back then?
Yeah, well, Bricklink's been around for a long time.
Okay, yeah. I guess I just discovered it late.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, whoa, there's an eBay where you can buy just a certain kind of brick. And like you can buy 10,000 of them if you need it. Nice.
Yeah, I do love Bricklink. Just recently I got about 200 of those 2x2x2 wooden boxes to make wood paneling.
Ooh, nice. That's a good score. Yeah, I'm always finding great things like different minifigures I don't have. Just whatever. It seems like whatever we need just for like in a pinch a lot of the time too. I'm trying to remember the last thing we got on Bricklink. It always surprises me. Like I used to think like, 100 of a piece is enough. And it's like, it's nowhere near enough if you want to build like a building or a modular. I'm like, no, you need like 4,000 of a piece. And then that's enough.
Once you really get into it, all your perceptions of the numbers change dramatically.
Yeah, 100. Come on. Yeah, I know. It's so underwhelming too when you get a bag of 100 Lego pieces.
Yeah, and it's just a tiny bag.
Yeah, 100 1x1s is like fits in my hand.
But and at the same time, without the website, where would you have ever gotten 100 just like that?
Oh yeah, right? Like that's the thing. Like thank goodness for Bricklink.
Yeah.
Solving all our problems.
But yeah, with things like the Eye of Eyes, I'm always impressed with David Pickett's work, is that he does these concepts that most other people would write off as too time consuming.
Yeah.
There's many things like that across his films.
Sure, right? Like who would do that? Who would replace everything? Like, right? Like, and then it has the dragon like shows up in it, and then or like the way how the dragon breathes fire, that's all bricks, or then I love just like the fun, creative, and cool concepts that David comes up with.
Yeah, the entire series is some of the most creative stuff ever in brick filming.
And then have you guys read his and David's book?
I actually haven't. No.
Oh my god, it's so good. It really is.
I gotta get a copy. Yeah.
Yeah, they did a great book, and it was a couple years before that. Sarah Herman had reached out to me, and she was putting together a book, and she asked me to do a bunch of pictures. So I think I got like 200 photos into that book for her, and it was really, really good. It's like a good like brick filming guide. And then David's book came out, and I'm like, dang! I'm like, this is a really good book for brick filming. They're both really, really good. I think what I love about Sarah Herman's book is she also has a little bit more, like some more interviews and things as well. So she did get interviews with Zach Macias, myself, a couple other guys. So it is kind of a little bit more of if you want to understand like what other people are doing, that works. But the great thing about David Pickett and David Pagano's book is that it features so many brick-built effects. And it just sort of really focuses on if you want to do Lego stop motion, you want to learn how to do a walk cycle, you want to learn the 12 principles of animation, you want to learn any of these things, it's all in that book. It's really incredible. And I think it's like under $20, I think. It's pretty good.
Yeah. I've been meaning to get a copy for a long time now.
Same.
Oh my gosh. It is, it's a good one. Well, now you know what to put on your Christmas list.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's plenty to learn even if you've been doing this for a while.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I was reading through it and I learned a couple things, so it's really cool.
But yeah, I suppose to get back to the film.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting how the dragon has the mouth that can move in time with the dialogue. That's another thing that would be very time consuming.
Oh yeah. Well, and then also just his impression and the characteristic that he gave to Silver Spine, like having the oh yes, oh da, 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 da. Like I love that character. Like that is like it's just so fun.
Yeah, he definitely gave that a distinct character. And yeah, he comes up with some very, very distinct things, like the leg sharks as well.
Yeah. Yeah, what's fun was like I think we all did that with our pirate sets and stuff. Like we put legs on them because we. But
he goes the whole way with them, turns them into a character or a species in its own right.
Yeah.
Would you say, in a way, it's this kind of stuff like Night News of Nine is kind of like a Lego equivalent of something like Monty Python, just like the wacky kind of sense of humor and just like the weird but wonderful concepts and.
Hey. Yeah. Sure. Yeah, I agree. Sorry, my dog's barking at something.
The dog agrees.
Hey, come on. Sorry about that.
It's alright.
But yeah, you were saying that David's got like a lot of like joy in his animation and just really absurd and crazy concepts similar to Monty Python. And I gotta agree with you, like it's really incredible what he's been able to do with this Nightly News at 9 series. Here's a guy who I wish he had 60 days that he could just animate whatever he wanted in that 60 days.
Yeah, I know he's been busy with plenty of other projects, but yeah, it is a shame that we haven't seen any Night News at 9 in a long time. Because I think he has more chapters written fully and has done for a long time, but yeah, the opportunity to actually get around to animating them in full, just it's not there at the moment.
Yeah, it does come. Yeah, it's a timing thing.
Yeah, it's understandable. But yeah, we'd all love to see it.
Well, and then I think, that's it too, but the videos that I think he makes that he does really well with are the Five Nights at Freddy's stuff. Like, those are the things that, they're simple. It's weird, like, YouTube is, like, rewards people for making a less quality film, but more of it. Like, it's a quantity over quality metric.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, YouTube definitely is, yeah.
So, it's almost like... It's kind of hard. Yeah, it's hard as an animator to, like, how do you make many, many seconds of something, make it at a quality that you like, and do it often enough that people can continually be entertained. And that's hard, Yeah. I don't know a lot of animators who can do that. And it's just as the more movies we make, like, everybody wants to just make better films. No one wants to do something simple anymore,
Yeah.
Everything becomes more time consuming, yeah.
I don't know the last time a movie took, like, under 2.5 months.
But I think it's kind of like why like with a lot of brick filmers, they get to the height of their success on YouTube, and as soon as they do, they go way down because they get that height of success. They do something that's really amazing, and they want to kind of like keep stepping up the game, and then that means it takes more time. And YouTube, the way that it works, means that you spend like a year without being on there, and then you're going to lose those views and the subscribers, and
Yeah, I think the only person who has been able to continue that kind of success, even though he's like only uploaded sporadically, is probably Forrest. Has had that continual success. Maybe Michael Hickox, like he's done really well. Like I think he's maybe had some breaks, but then also like he seems to be putting something out fairly frequently.
Yeah, he's pretty consistent, all right.
But I think that even people like Michael Hickox, the views are going down. Like,
I think so, yeah.
He was talking on the Brickfilms Guild podcast recently, and he was saying that the guy he used to is composer for the Two and Well series.
Yeah.
He had to sort of like let him go because he couldn't afford to pay him anymore because the views has gone down.
Interesting. Yeah, just YouTube has really changed its algorithm a lot in the last couple of years. Rewarding the watch time, changing the way how subscribers have to hit a notification bell. It's like those were things that like I'm subscribed to this person because I want to see their movies, not because I want to hit another button to like get a notification.
Yeah, and even the notification bell defaults to like occasional notifications.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, like there's been a lot of videos that I've seen like released where people have hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and I release my video on the same day. I have 65,000 I think, and we have the same amount of views on something, and I'm like, how is this even possible? But yeah, just social media has been changing a lot lately. People aren't sharing the same ways we used to share. I think part of that's also with Facebook as well. Like people aren't really going to Facebook as much. They're not sharing as much on Facebook. And I think that's like a big reason why even someone like Michael Hickox is getting less views on his films.
But that's definitely a good point about the algorithm favoring watch time, because even somebody like Michael Hickox, who uploads Brickfilms regularly, you might think he'll do fine because of regular uploads, but then, if they're only 4 minutes each, it's nothing compared to people who can upload 10-minute videos daily or 20-minute videos.
Right. Yeah, they say actually the sweet spot is if you get 2 videos over 10 minutes per week.
Yeah, and obviously even the fastest Brickfilmer could never reach that.
Yeah, I know. At this point, it's like, let's just stick them to some straws or some sticks or something and move them around. And hopefully kids will watch.
Or maybe make it like some sort of top 10 video and just do it every single day.
But like, honestly, those are the approaches that like some of these bigger like MCN networks are having a lot of success with. They do find like, okay, we will put together a compilation of many Brickfilmer stuff, put it all together. We have 10 minutes, which means we can put ads in there. It also means that we have longer watch time, which is going to get favored in a YouTube search. So like, those are the things that, that people, those are the techniques people are really doing because they understand the algorithm and because they want to favor their content. It's just, how do we do that as content creators on a much smaller scale? Most of us are just either doing this for fun or doing it on the side or in between other projects. Like, how do we output 20 minutes of content every week?
Yeah. Well, I think as well, like, I don't know if a lot of people are like this, but I have this tendency to kind of think that if I see a video is like 10 minutes long, I'm probably more likely to watch that than a video that's 3 minutes long.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I kind of feel like, I don't know, like, I don't really spend as much time on YouTube as much now.
Yeah.
So usually I kind of think, I'll spend 10 minutes watching something rather than spending 3 minutes. I don't know. It's like, I don't know if a lot of people feel that way, but I think there are a decent amount of people that are probably more likely to watch longer content.
Yeah, I'd say a lot of people are like that, but I kind of prefer the shorter content that gets to the point quicker. Oftentimes I see these videos in the related on YouTube, and it's the topic might sound interesting, but then I see it's like a 30-minute video or even an hour long or something, and I just think that no, there's no way I'm watching that.
It's hard I'm trying to think, like, do I watch things? I guess I click on things mostly because of the title or what's recommended. Actually, the coolest video I've watched recently was how Willy Wonka relates to Snowpiercer. I don't know if you guys have seen that video, but that thing is incredible. There's so many clues. They're saying that movie Snowpiercer is like a direct sequel to Willy Wonka.
Do you know what I need to do now? Do you know these like video essays which they'll take like a popular film and say why it sucks, or if it's
Yeah.
Maybe I need to do like a video essay on Brickfilms and like say, the reason why the cleaners didn't do well with views or something,
Oh, I could tell you why the cleaners didn't do well. And it's unfortunate, but it doesn't have an IP standing behind it. So it's not searchable. It's a beautiful animation, and it's stunning, but in a world where kids are looking for Spider-Man, Avengers, Superman, Batman, the cleaners just doesn't have that grab that something like Lego Avengers or, Lego Batman has.
Do you know what? It should have also been called Lego Cleaning Fail.
Oh! Boom! Right there. You change that, you'd probably get 1 million views on it by tomorrow morning.
Just a few keystrokes. But actually, I was just reminded of something. Titan Pictures has a kids toy channel, like Brickfilm kids channel, and I think it uploads daily or maybe like every 2 days or something, and all the videos are over 10 minutes long, but what's done is it's like 1 or 2 minutes of new animation, and then after that it just loops some of the old films from the channel until it reaches 10 minutes. And I guess kids aren't really discerning
No, I think
Sit there and it'll play out.
you're right, because what it is the most of the views that he's getting are probably children who are not signed in. So they're also like not leaving comments, which means that they're also not like, hey, you already uploaded this video.
Yeah.
But it's a good technique.
Yeah. Yeah, I do think it's pretty clever, all right.
Do you know though, like one of the things that I found is that I almost find it kind of sad in a way. Like my most viewed videos are quite often the videos that get the least amount of response. Like literally, I have some videos that have got like 30,000 views, but I get like half the amount of like comments that I would from a video that gets like 500 views, you know?
Right, yeah, with like 30,000 views, you would think it's like one in 1,000 people usually leave a comment. Or maybe it's like one in like 500. You should have a ton of comments. What I wonder is your video embedded on something else that maybe they're watching it on something else? Like are they watching it on another site, or are they watching it on Facebook, or do you know?
I think maybe as well, it's just kind of like, those kind of videos maybe attract a different kind of audience, people that just kind of like watch a funny video and then move on to the next thing kind of thing. Like I did a lot of music videos.
Yeah.
Like I did one of David Bowie and Mick Jagger,
Yeah.
in the Street.
Oh my god, I love that.
That's got like 30. That's got 34,000 views now.
Yeah.
On Vimeo, it's got like 100,000, but like loads of people. But like, yeah, it's not got nearly the same response as something like I've done recently.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in the end, if you sort of forget about the views and you think more about like just like the response, the things that people say, the kind of like the supportive comments, and then you kind of realize that that's kind of more important really than the amount of views you get, I think.
Definitely. Yeah. I think what we're kind of talking about here is like a view versus like an engaged or shared experience. And I think we make these videos not for the views, but so we can kind of just say, hey, this is something that meant something to me or meant something to us as a team. And we made it, and we hope it entertains you. Like it is the comments that kind of keep us going, or like give us little bits of encouragement where they go, wow, that was wild, or that was crazy, or I can't believe this, or, or you guys are nuts, or things like that. Or this is the worst, like those are the comments that like we can live by or die by, but it's those engaged views that kind of mean a little bit more than just, oh, that's another view.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it says a lot that we've spent a lot of time here talking about the actual experience of working on the projects with other people, rather than how successful they are at the end of the day. It goes to show what stands out in your mind as most important and most enjoyable.
Yeah, I know. It's very weird too, because like at the end of a project, like when we're wrapping everything up and we get all the editing done and we have to put away the sets and everything, like there is a little bit of sadness or something that goes into it, because it's like it's done and it's about to get packaged and like put up online. But there is like a little kind of like, oh, it's all done. Like we've done all the animation, we've done all the VFX, we've done all the sound work, the voice work, the audio record session, the mixing, music choices, all that. But there is kind of like this little tiny sense of melancholy, like just before it gets uploaded. And then, like, on the upload, it's like, oh, all right. Like, there's, like, a little bit of, like, anxious energy. Like, all right, should I, how do I keyword this? And, like, how do I, hashtag this thing? And where am I going to share it? And who am I going to send it to? And there's, like, all this excitement. And then, all of a sudden, the video comes out, and then people can respond to it. And people either respond to it either right away in the comments. It's real easy for them to say whether they love it or hate it, and they're making like a snap decision based on something that for the most part like we've been working on for months or weeks.
Yeah, I get the same sort of feelings, especially like after a large project is over, you feel kind of lost.
Yeah,
like you don't even know what are you supposed to do now with yourself.
Yeah, I think it's just finding another project.
Yeah, it's like when you were in the middle of working so hard on a project, you're on autopilot and you have a nice purpose to work towards, but then when it's gone, then you feel like the purpose is gone.
Yeah, it is good. That's why it is good having like a client who has projects for you to do, because a lot of the time it's like, oh, we've got multiple episodes. So it's like we do one, good, done, out the door. Episode 2, we're working on episode 2 and 3 at the same time. And then now we start working on 4 and we finish 2, and then we send episode 2 out. And it's like you're running this kind of race until like just complete the project. And then when it is all done, you're like, whoa, what are we doing now? Like, are we doing, what's the next thing? And that is kind of like the fun part of like searching for a new one or writing a new one or thinking like, maybe I want to write something that isn't a brick film, but maybe I want to write like a feature, or maybe I want to write a book or a tutorial or something else. So like maybe it's not always an animation, but maybe it's something else, or maybe it's like I want to get into painting, or I want to learn how to draw better or storyboard better. And it's easy to always like find some other talent that you can hone.
Yeah, but it must be nice to get the satisfaction of completing an episode, but at the same time, that you have more episodes lined up to get to work on.
Yeah. And also, like, the first one's always, the big one. The Lego Overwatch was kind of a good example of this, because we were able to do like 5 episodes, and as we'd finished like 2 episodes, but we were still animating like 3, 4, and 5 when the first one dropped. And it was a real interesting like mixed bag of people who either loved it or totally hated it.
I noticed that in the comments, that the subscribers to IGN, they didn't know what to make of it seems.
Oh yeah, they're like, wait a second, a reality show based on things that I love, like some kind of form of entertainment that is free for me to watch, and you didn't do it the way how I think you should have done it. It's like, yeah, exactly. You know what? Like, I think Lego Overwatch House is hilarious, and I've played like, I think I'm on almost like level 200 of Overwatch. My daughter's like at level 499. She's trying to get to 500 this weekend. And even the difference of throughout a year of like going from, it would be fun to do like a comedy. I've always wanted to write a comedy about, video game characters in a reality show based house. I'm like, what would they run into? What are the ships? What are the loves? What are the hates? What are the problems of having roommates? I think that's hilarious. And then like the more that I've played, I wonder like, what'd be cool is what if it was just like if we did just a straight out action Overwatch video where it was just like nothing but like mission after mission. That sort of worked within tandem of the Overwatch sort of storyline of somewhere in the Omnic Wars, just trying to do some kind of mission-based thing. I think that would be really interesting, to try something totally different.
Yeah. And it might have less of your own creative stamp on it, but it might be received a bit better if it was just kind of more generally following the game.
Yeah, and I think that's also like that's another thing with Brickfilms is there's 2 kinds of Brickfilms. There's completely original stuff, and then there is like we saw with that fun video, right? Completely original, not tied to anything else. Then there's like stuff that's like Star Wars or Batman, or it's like it's based off of somebody else's IP. And anytime that you base it off of somebody else's IP, there's already pre-existing comic books and movies, and everybody's got ideas of how you should do that or how it needs to be done. The good thing about working with those IPs is that you have a film now that like people are probably going to, could discover easily enough. Oh, Lego Star Wars? Sure. I'll check it out. I'll watch it. It's kind of easier to find. You don't necessarily have to establish a whole background and world and huge story. And it's probably easier to digest, and it's a little more shareable for your audience. So those are the strengths of having, working with that IP. If you go to your own original stuff, like Cleaners, for example, great film, totally amazing, shocks everyone, and they're like, wow, all right. But it makes it like less discoverable.
Yeah, it's harder to share.
But so then let's take this one step further. Cleaners, everybody loves it. Everybody who watches it, positive comments all around. Overwatch House, it's a 50-50, man. Like, if I was to walk into a crowd of people who watched Overwatch House, it's like so polarizing. Some people totally love it. Other people are like totally hate it.
And some of the criticisms are exclusive to it being based on an IP, because I saw some of the comments were saying they should have gotten the original voice actors.
That is hilarious.
Yeah, it's hilarious. But you'd never get that on like the cleaners, because obviously
right.
there's no such thing.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, I just thought that it was such a funny comment, because how would you go about getting all the original voice actors?
Yeah, that is right. Like original voice actors, like that cast comes in for like a $10,000 a day session. Like that is just. There's no way you're going to get that unless you get it produced by Blizzard.
You should have got like, when you did your Ghostbusters, you should have got, Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd. And...
You're totally right. I should have gotten Bill Murray for that. You know, why didn't I get Bill Murray? Yeah, or Harold Ramis, or like all of them. Yeah.
We got Rick Moranis out of retirement.
Yeah, if Rick Moranis is coming over to my living room to record a voiceover session, then, like, why are we even doing a Lego video? Like, we would be doing something else, most likely. I don't know, man. But that is funny. That is a funny comment. Yeah, because I think the other thing is comments that come from people who are either trolls or don't necessarily understand,
No, they're not really thinking, that in the way they're not thinking it as somebody who actually makes things.
Yeah,
but I mean, also you do get sub for sub as well.
Oh, I haven't seen a sub for sub in a long time.
It's been a while.
Yeah. Hey, you know how on TV that they like read like angry comments?
Yeah, you should do a video of that.
I've always wanted to do, especially we have that episode of Overwatch House where we did like Winston and Widowmaker have a love triangle with Winston and Diva. And I always thought it was so funny that like a monkey and a girl are in a relationship, and yet there's this other like cold-hearted assassin that was like the love triangle that is jealous of the love triangle and like wants them to like break up so she can experience love. Yeah, I love these comments. This episode was wrong. Right next to, I don't care what anyone says, I'm enjoying this. With 107 like thumbs ups. Like that's the thing. It's like it's just back and forth, Like
yeah, it's completely polarizing to the general audience.
Yeah. Yeah, I have thought about like having like everyone at Digital Wizards do read the mean comments or read like the funny comments. Like they always just kind of crack me up.
Yeah.
So I think if we just kept talking, we could be here for like 5 hours easily.
Oh my god. Yeah. Do you guys like the longer episodes, or do you tend to...
Yeah,
I do, yeah.
Okay, great, man. Yeah, actually I'd listened to both Christoph's and Sean's this week, which is pretty cool. Hey, you guys ever interviewed Forrest?
No, it's on a list, I think, though. Definitely
okay.
on a list.
Yeah, he'd be a really good one.
Yeah, we'd love to.
Because he was in the Bricks in Motion documentary, but they didn't really feature him very much, and it's kind of I think it's kind of a mistake to like one of the most up and coming like animators that's able to like transition from Brickfilms to being a paid animator. And it's like, you got like zero screen time. You only got like very little screen time.
Well, I actually know that there's a bit of a reason. It's that basically him and Sean were interviewed together, and they talked over each other a lot. And I think that Smeagol found it didn't work very well. Edited into the film.
That's why they're not in it much then, both of them. Yeah.
Oh, that's a shame. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny though, because he actually said that was one of his favorite interviews, just like on its own, or to do. He really enjoyed their personalities on camera, but he just felt that it actually didn't work very well within the film.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's sometimes things, once you get them into your project, you start to realize that it's not going as you hoped, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, I hope the interview here gave you guys enough to work with.
Oh yeah, this has been great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, dude. No, I really love what you guys are doing. I hope you just keep going. Keep making, doing more podcasts. Keep interviewing more people.
Yeah.
Yeah, we hope to.
To actually wrap this up, I thought I'd ask actually one more question. What would you say out of all your films, your proudest achievement?
Oh, it's probably gonna be Toy Wars, Friend Zone Awakens. The fact that we were able to create something that had never been done before, to do a VR 180 stop motion in stereoscopic, that's pretty insane. The whole film, it's concise. There's a great little bit of action. There's some good comedy in it. I love that video so much. If I was to pick a second favorite, maybe Lego Ghostbusters is probably my favorite film. I feel like it's at a good length. The comedy beats all hit really well. We have so many brick built effects in that one. I totally love it. And the voices are great, and we got such a great cast. We got so many people in it. Kevin Ulrich does a voice, Forrest Whaley does a voice, Sean does a voice, everybody does a voice. Yeah, I love that film because it was just so big. And then plus I got Haley, my daughter, she's the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man in that, and we were able to kind of mix a live action element like a Stay Puft Marshmallow Man fighting Ghostbusters. So I think I love that film probably the most, with maybe it's tied with Toy Wars, The Friend Zone Awakens.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us. It's been fantastic. Yeah, this is probably one of the best ones we've had, actually.
You'd probably say that to everybody.
Well, it's actually it's true every time.
No, but this time it's true. They're like, we have to say that, or else no one will keep coming on the podcast. Just pay people in compliments. No, it sounds great, man. Yeah, I hope it's entertaining enough for people to listen and maybe get inspired and break their Lego bricks out and maybe animate something. That'd be kind of fun.
Well, yeah. It definitely has motivated me anyway.
Yeah, man. If you need motivation, you should look up is Tinier Tim, who's a buddy of mine who, this guy motivates me nonstop. He was 440 pounds, and in 1 year he changed everything. Changed his diet, exercised 6 times a week. He dropped 220 pounds in 1 year. Changed his total life around. Divorced. Changed religions. Everything changed for this guy. And then now he's doing TED Talks and stuff. And it's here's somebody who's just changed a little bit at a time. He was saying that like he didn't lose 220 pounds, he lost 1 pound 220 times. And like when I think about that in like a stop motion world, it's like it's not about going out and filming 4 minutes of stop motion. You know, you think like, you know what? I'm just going to film. What can I film today? What can I do today? And maybe it's like everybody's just got to get on their project, film it today, and then you film tomorrow, and then you film a little bit more the next day and the next week or whatever you have time. And before you know it, you have 4 minutes.
Yeah, I do find that projects that take a long time, oftentimes the productive time is only a few days in reality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just you have to get yourself motivated and keep it going.
Yeah, that is definitely the hardest part. But yeah, stay motivated, man. Hey, I want to see your film when you're done with it.
Oh, yeah.
Be sure to send me a link.
I will. And thanks for the impromptu recording.
Yeah, no worries, man. All right. We'll talk later, guys.
Yeah. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.